Iran is the last stand on earth. There's nothing left. If Iran meets the same fate as Assad, Saddam, Gaddafi, there's nothing left. Israel preemptively attacked Iran, also known as unprovoked. Israel's been planning this strike for years, sneaking missiles into Iran, building secret missile bases inside of Iran. Israel's strike on Iran was largely successful, taking out many of Iran's top nuclear scientists and high-ranking government officials. Since the strikes, Iran's retaliatory efforts have largely been unsuccessful. Neighboring Arab states who have long abandoned the fight against Zionism have done a lot of the dirty work for Israel, intercepting Iranian drones and missiles. These strikes from Israel come shortly after Iran had leaked that they were in possession of locations of Israeli nuclear sites. And they completely disrupt peace talks where the United States was assuring that there would be no strikes on Iran, that Israel would not be supported if they were to unilaterally attack Iran. Now it seems that the United States is backpedaling that, and Israel's gambit seems to have paid off, at least for now. Until now, Israel and Iran have fought largely via proxy. However, we're moving rapidly towards direct conflict between these two nations. Over the past 20 months, Iran's powerful proxies have weakened vastly, and now it seems Israel feels that the timing is right for them to have a direct conflict with Iran. It would also be incredibly easy for Israel to pull the United States into a war with Iran. The USA has postured that it would not support Israel in the event that it attacks Iran, but it seems that Israel has forced the United States' hands, and in the event of a direct conflict, the United States will do everything in their power to defend Israel, at the surprise of no one. Israel used to be surrounded by many countries that were hostile towards it. That number has decreased significantly over the years, starting with Egypt. Once Egypt folded and recognized Israel, it had a domino effect across the region, slowly but surely. Many Arab countries, since Egypt's recognition of Israel, have followed suit in recognizing Israel, and the ones that haven't have faced regime change and were replaced by governments that were more friendly towards Israel, even if they don't officially recognize Israel. Now Israel is surrounded by many strategic allies. The most important regime change since this war began is the fall of Bashar al-Assad. This weakened Iran's ability to fund Hezbollah in Lebanon and attack Israel from Syria. Without Assad's support, there's now many fronts that Israel no longer has to concern themselves with. Since Israel's inception, all Arab governments have gradually shifted towards a warmer perception of Israel. At most, we get Arab countries that won't officially recognize Israel, but will defend them from attacks, refuse the usage of their airspace against Israel, and have secret trade relations with Israel. Many of these countries dislike Iran more than they dislike Israel, and Israel has effectively leveraged Sunni versus Shia sectarianism to weaponize these countries against Iran. Israel has become something that these Arab nations have gotten used to, completely abandoning the Palestinian cause, and abandoning any hope of holding Israel accountable for their actions. From these Arab nations that at one point went to war with Israel and restricted oil exports, now all we get is lip service while completely enabling Israel to act with unchecked authority in the Middle East. The only force on earth that actually tangibly opposes Israeli domination of the Middle East is Iran. Iran is the source of weaponry, funding, and training for all of the forces that have actually been fighting Israel in the modern day. Any other country in the region will speak loudly in their native tongue, but will do nothing to stop Israel. Just last year, Erdogan in Turkey was talking big about invading Israel, just like they did in Libya. 5 months later, he supports an actual operation to remove Assad from Syria, while taking no actions to penalize Israel. Yet ultimately, Turkey has helped advance Israel's agenda by assisting removing Gaddafi in 2011, and much later, the removal of Assad in 2024. It's not very hard to find people who are willing to say Israel's bad, Israel's unhinged, Israel needs to stop. But when you actually look at countries that will actually do something about it, it's very hard to find any examples. Iran is the last stand on earth. There's nothing left. If Iran meets the same fate as Assad, Saddam, Gaddafi, there's nothing left. There is nobody left on earth who will fight Israel. Nobody will sanction them, not a single rocket fired into Tel Aviv. Nothing. Just total and complete unchecked power from the Zionist regime. Saudi Arabia won't. They'll keep talking about how we need to recognize a Palestinian state, but they won't do anything. The USA obviously won't. Russia won't. China won't. We'll get tons of lip service, but nothing tangible. No actual military intervention. And if you ask me, we are long past the prospect of military intervention in Israel. The militaries are out there. The countries don't have the balls to do it. They're afraid. Iran is the only country that has stood up to Israel so far. And largely, Iran has not had to face Israel. The Arabs that once stood in between Israel and total domination are now the ones striking down Iranian drones and missiles. There is no enemy to Israel left once Iran is gone. It's over. That's it. Game over. Israel wins. The entire Middle East is theirs. They can continue expanding into Syria, expanding into Lebanon, expanding into Iraq once they've taken over Syria and Lebanon. Then, who knows, maybe they'll start going after Egypt again, Jordan again, Saudi Arabia, and who knows what it'll take for these countries to actually fight back. Perhaps they'll follow suit with Syria and allow Israel to continue to grab land without fighting back because eased up sanctions and leadership lining their own pockets is enough. You never really know how spineless these guys are until you actually watch it unfold in your eyes. You'd like to think that Jordan would invade Israel or fight back if Israel expanded into them, but when it actually gets to that point, who knows? Once Israel's gotten Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, who knows if Jordan is even going to fight back? When Gaza and West Bank don't exist anymore, who knows if Saudi Arabia will fight back? We don't know. We don't know. They have allowed everything to unfold. They've accepted that a country that created nuclear weapons on their own, despite international opposition to that, has the right to tell another country that they can't use nuclear power for peaceful purposes. Iran lost its chance to make nuclear weapons. At this point, with all their nuclear scientists essentially eliminated, and the whole world condemning Israel for the unprovoked attack, if Iran develops a nuke at this stage, suddenly Israel's attack is justified. They should have nuclearized when they had the chance, because when a country has the potential for a nuke versus actually has them, it's a completely different game. Just look at Saddam Hussein's Iraq versus North Korea. Saddam had weapons of mass destruction in the fake way, and they invaded no question. North Korea actually does have nuclear weapons, so we leave them alone. Iran completely failed to learn the lesson that we're taught over and over and over again. You have to have nuclear weapons for the United States to take you seriously. They'll say you have them whether you do or not. You might as well develop them if you can. Now they're paying the price. We'll see what ends up happening. If you ask me, I think if Iran can still develop a nuclear weapon, they really should. They should do everything they can to fight back. They should do everything they can to fortify their forces as if they're going to direct war. They should maintain their proxies. But in the event that Israel goes on a full-scale war and they achieve their dream of regime change in Iran, it's over. Israel wins, and the fight against Zionism has come to an abrupt end. I don't see any future left for the Palestinians at that point. I don't see any future left for stabilization of the Middle East. I think a lot of foreign capital is going to take over the region. You're going to get a lot more Mar-a-Lagos of Gaza across the Middle East, and it'll just be a complete and utter shit show. We'll see what ends up happening, but right now things are looking bleak. This was a good week for the Zionist death cult. Despite my channel name, I will do my best to remain hopeful that the resistance will persist, that there's a way out of this that ends well for the Palestinians. I will pray for regional stability and peace. But as the saying goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than it is to be a gardener in a war. So Iran needs to learn to think like a warrior. That's all for the video. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the situation, and I will catch you guys in the next video.